Aquarius, well, you are known for being a bit of a rebel at times, for doing things that kind of provoke and run contrary to the energies out there. And this month is no different. While everybody is probably getting a bit cabin fever and stir crazy by lockdowns and quarantines, your motto this month seems to be, well, if I can't go out there to the world, why don't I bring the world home? Sounds weird, sounds strange. I expect nothing less from an Aquarius. So how is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, my love, let's get to the cards. Let's do what we always do. We're going to shuffle the cards, wait on all the right ones to come along for you. And in the meantime, my love, we'll talk about these energies. So, as I said, you are often known to kind of enjoy when things are going a little bit in a different direction. As I said, while everybody is panicking, and there is actually a lot to be worried about out there, and a lot of people are very concerned about things out there, but you're just doing this thing of, nobody expects me to enjoy being at home, but I'm going to prove them wrong. I am going to get stuck in at home. I'm going to really start enjoying this alone time, and I'm going to get really creative, and I'm going to get really stuck into it, and I'm going to do all the things that I've always wanted to do, but I was probably too busy or too distracted to do. I'm just going to do all of this from home. And there's energy here this month where you could, if you live with your partner, for example, you could be kind of bringing back a bit of fun and saying, well, we can't go out there and travel to some far off country. Why don't we bring it here? And you could start cooking a meal, like having a certain night, like a themed night where you're having the food of that culture. I'm using that as an example, but there is such a strong feeling of that. This is how, Aquarius, you seem to really be coping and downplaying and kind of somewhat, giving it two big celestial middle fingers to the energies out there by saying, you're not going to get me down. I am going to use this time at home properly. I am going to enjoy myself. I might have a little small garden out there. Do you know what? I'm going to start growing some vegetables. I'm going to start planting some, maybe even some of you getting interested in medicinal herbs or things like that. Foods or herbs that might be good for your health. There's a feeling of, why don't I just do this? Why don't I go with the flow and enjoy kind of like enjoy the rebelliousness of doing something really different at home. So that's a really, really strong energy, and I do feel that you like it. Digging up old pastimes, digging up and again, just so many interesting things I feel coming here. It's like, I'm going to do something from my home that nobody expects me to do. Say, for example, you have a Facebook page or a social media page. You might kind of put a video up on your Facebook page for your friends where you're doing something like having a festival at home. You know what I mean? But you might be doing it on your own, maybe you and the cat or the dog or whatever. But it's what I find is the whole idea, it's creativity, it's fun, but more than that here, Aquarius, it's the idea of rebelling against some of the energies that may feel very restrictive and confining this month with all the stuff that's happening out there. It's like, I can do a party for one. I can have a party at home. I can get all my friends on social media to kind of, have a kind of group party thing, that we actually do through social media. Maybe even some of you thinking of organizing something similar to that for the work that you do, because I do feel with the full moon this month in Scorpio in your 10th house, there is a lot of stress around the work that you do. There is a lot of, worrying, anxiety, lots of focusing on the detail, lots on your mind. And you're saying, it's almost this feeling, Aquarius, of, that kind of boldness kicks in, a feeling of stress, and then a switch goes off and it's like, I'm not going to worry about this. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something that takes the stress out of all of this situation. It's going to be creative. It's going to be fun. I'm going to organize it. And I'm really, really not allowing these energies to get the better of me. Really, really not. And there's even tuning into your energy here, Aquarius. It's almost like in taking that attitude, it does give you grounding. It does give you a sense of release and relief. It does give you a sense of this is a bit different and weird, but it's also very comforting. You know, it's also very comforting. There's a few, I'm going to say it, there's a few images, like some of you posting something on your social media that's very, very routine, like brushing your teeth. I know, I'm sorry if this sounds really weird, but kind of that you're not doing it alone, but making a joke out of it. It's like this feeling of I'm making a joke out of this very serious situation, and it actually grounds me. It actually releases a lot of the stress. It actually releases a lot of the pressure and the tension. And it actually makes me feel I have some level of control and organization going on. Even though it might look like fun or random on the outside, I actually know what I'm doing here. This is how I cope. This is how I manage the energies. This is how I stay positive and laugh through all of this. So there's something very, very powerful in that, Aquarius. While other people might think that you might be just doing something silly for a laugh, it actually has a lot of meaning behind it. And things like that are often very, very important for you, it feels. Okay, so that's a really nice thing. I was kind of going down that energy, a feeling of like having a Facebook party or something like that. Don't forget to invite all of us to that, by the way, if you're doing something unusual like that, you know. Let us be your guests too. Don't forget the she-bear community. But there are other things. I did mention that there seems to be a lot of stress or a tension or worry going on about the work that you're doing or the career that you're doing. Many of you are feeling like, what's going on with my work? Now, this is a theme that's going through all of the signs this month. So we're all experiencing something similar. The fear, the worry about work and things like that. But for you, because the full moon is in the 10th house, there's one thing I'd say to you. Do your best to keep a very, very emotionally healthy approach to all of this. You know, keep it healthy, keep it balanced, keep it positive, take the anxiety out of it. What I would also ask you to do is, if you feel somewhat tempted to get into a bit of a conflict with somebody, a kind of a feeling of, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You know, calling your boss or sending a message to your boss, for example, and saying, you know, it's been X amount of days and something isn't clear. I don't know whether I still have a contract. I don't know where this job is going. Are we still opening up next week? Are we still opening up next month? There's a feeling here of the tension could get so high that you could, instead of asking what's going on, that you could ignite a conflict. And it's all because, you know, I want this sorted, I want this solved. I would ask you really strongly here, Aquarius, do your very, very, very best to investigate what needs to be investigated. Sure, there are answers that are needed here, but do your best to do it in a very, very healthy, grounded way. Because without that, it could ignite. In worst case scenario, now this may not be for you, but in worst case scenario, if you push it in a kind of aggressive way to, say, management or your boss or to somebody, if you push it too hard, they'll say, listen, don't be putting me under that type of stress. Look, forget about it. Don't come back to work. And right now, this shit nobody needs. So that's why I'm pushing that a little bit with you here. You know, do your very best, investigate, find out the answers if you have to, but you're really, really going to have to focus on not antagonizing somebody and not getting, you know, somebody's feathers all ruffled for your benefit. This isn't about them. This is about you. You know, the last thing you need is to be getting into some conflict with some key person in your workspace, okay? So that's very, very important. Now, there's a lot of very, very positive things happening here. I said that, I'm waiting on one card, by the way. I said that you're having a lot of fun at home. You could decide to kind of, with Venus retrograding this month, you might decide to redesign your home, remodel it, or replan maybe certain rooms in your home. You're saying that's no longer a dining room, that's now going to be an artist studio, or this is no longer going to be a spare bedroom, this is going to be a home office. You know, there's a feeling of redesigning things, and there might be a kind of international flair to it. Like all the things that you've collected over the years from this country, that country, maybe some inspiration from all over the world. You could be redesigning your home or your garden or your home studio or office to bring a kind of more, you know, cultural feel or worldly feel to it. You know, now you can do that in many, many ways. You can do that kind of tongue in cheek and pretend, you know, turn one whole room into a themed room, or you can have it very beautiful, which I've no doubt you'd have, but have elements. You know, I bought this in one of my favorite countries, and this is a memory from somewhere else, and a lot of memories, redesigning your home and using a lot of memories too, hanging old photographs, you know, rooting out the photographs and saying there's no use them being in a box or being in a book. I should hang these things up. I should, you know, the beautiful pictures of my friends or my travels, particularly my travels, or family and so on. Why don't I just dedicate one wall to that? And again, I know this sounds all very vague, random, and so on like that, but there is an energy here of, if you kind of flow in that direction, then you're better using the energies. You're flowing with the energies. And every time we flow with an energy, it clears up space inside us. And when the space is clear inside us, it removes the anxiety. It removes the fear, the uncertainty, the what's going to happen next. So sometimes the things I say do sometimes sound ridiculous. I know that. But there is always method behind my madness too, not just yours. So there's a lot of energy moving this month into Gemini, into the 5th house. The sun will be going in there on the 20th. Mercury is moving in there on the 11th. We've a new moon in there on the 22nd, and the North Node of Destiny, as the final card hops out, is moving out of Cancer and into Gemini. Now, Gemini is a fellow air sign, so things are going to start feeling a little bit brighter. It's going to be more your style. There's going to be a better flow, but it's a lot to do with creativity, getting your spark back, getting your inspiration back, your flair for things. That's why I was saying redesigning rooms in your home. It's creativity, it's flair, it's inspiration. It's taking out all your design books or your art books or something else like that and saying, you know, I can take these wonderful ideas and communicate them by surrounding myself with them at home, you know, and maybe sharing that. Maybe I'm redesigning a room and I end up posting a video of how I've done this on my social media page, because it's all about having fun. It's all about getting grounded, feeling good in yourself and having fun to create something beautiful here. And being really deeply transformed by that. Again, you see, this all sounds very, you know, what's that all about? But these are the things that end up, in some case, transforming you. But it's like, say, the energy that's been funneled in at the moment by all the fear and the doubt and the uncertainty out there. It's doing things like that kind of funnels the energy in and then flushes it right out. If we've got to swallow this energy right now, then somebody show me where the chain is so I can get rid of it. Really, the things I'm saying here are going to help you do that. Fun at your home, having home parties, even if it is only a party for one under lockdown and quarantine, and sharing that, communicating that, maybe through social media or some other very, very inventive idea. So it's really nice. For those of you with children, even your own children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, again, there's a feeling of, I can get really, really creative with them here. I can talk to them about creative things. And there's a feeling of bonding with younger people here too, because you've got the spark again to bond with them, because you're vibing with each other creatively and things like that. So it's very, very, very nice. I feel many of you also, with the new moon particularly, it's like, I'm going to get really serious here, organized, and get a routine together about something that I am very passionate about and I am very creative with. This could be maybe a business thing that you want to create. It could be a hobby, a leisure thing, or something that you do that you absolutely get lost in. You adore it. It kind of gets the juices moving. And there's a feeling here this month of saying, why don't I just organize this? As I said, why don't I dedicate one room for this only? You know, if it's a music, for example, why don't I dedicate one room just for all my music things or my arts and craft things or for my meditation? Like create a spiritual room, a hobby room, something like that, because the more you structure the things that bring you passion, again, it's all coming down to you being inspired and grounded at the same time. And when you're grounded and inspired, again, it's like freeing up so much space to allow a lot of the negative energies out there to just pass right through and for them not to bother you. That's the kind of energy here, for it not to bother you. Because I think you've had a lot of worries really over the last while, Aquarius, a lot of worries, doing your very best trying to keep your health together, doing your very best trying to keep your sleep routines, your day-to-day life organized, doing your best to try to get a bit of structure in your life, and it seemed almost impossible to do. And there should be a moment now where you're saying, I've got to pass from that phase into a more creative, freeing phase. And there's a point in the middle, like a hurdle, where I have to remove that and flush it out. You see, there's I'm going again, full moon in Scorpio, where we kind of allow things to just go away, you know, and it's the things I'm explaining, the fun, the grounding, the expression of yourself in some maybe even romantic way also. Let's not forget that the fifth house is romantic, it's sexual, it's attraction, it's fascination, it's obsession, it's been completely lit up and absorbed by someone or something. And again, making more room in your life for that. It allows the kind of, you know, for the page to be turned over finally, leaving that behind slowly and turning over a bright new chapter in your life, you know. So they're the kind of strongest energies. In terms of love and relationships, Venus is retrograding this month. There could be, for everybody, and now you included, love coming back from the past. It could have been somebody that there's a bit of distance between you and them. Maybe you once lived in an area that's far away from where you are now and had a relationship with somebody, and they could be kind of reappearing or making contact with you again. They could live abroad in a foreign country, but maybe there's a connection even to certain family members but who live abroad. Maybe this person knows a relative of yours, or they know some members of your family, and maybe through family they make some sort of a reconnection with you. So that's there too. And for those of you in a relationship, maybe living together, this thing again of you and your partner bringing more lightness and brightness into the relationship, into the home, into the energy, into the atmosphere of where you're living. It's like, let's lighten this thing up. And then the two of you being very, very creative together and very passionate together, playful, flirty, communicative, and a bit kind of bold maybe at times, you know, and all in the right way. So so they're the kind of vibes that are going on, my love. So let's get over to your cards and we'll go over to your big grand, ta-da, to your overview. So the energy of communicating, again, this is a Sagittarius card. Sagittarius represents the 11th house for you. Communicating quickly by doing something that you're very passionate about, something that you've always wished you wanted to do. And it's like, I'm moving quickly on this. This is a wish of mine. This is a dream of mine. This is actually what I've always wanted to do. And it's lockdown and quarantine that has now given me the room to do it. So you are one of the very few signs who seem to be really enjoying the breathing room that this uncertain period here is bringing. I know not all of you are enjoying it, I know that, but there is a moment here at the start where you say, now let's get to it, let's get stuck on it, let's communicate something. Now again, Sagittarius represents friends, networks, and maybe even social media. Making a kind of wish come true on social media. Maybe you're being very generous and through social media making somebody else's wish come true by communicating or sort of setting up something, maybe a charity thing with friends or a network of people. That could be happening. But there's a feeling of this makes me feel good. I feel grounded. I feel satisfied. I feel good because I'm moving quickly on something. I'm moving quickly on making my dreams come true. See, even in times of uncertainty, we can still work on our dreams and our wishes and our future. But then there's the energy here. Some of you might be disappointed, I feel, at the start of the month, because there might be an issue to do with either an investment or with a money situation, something that you'd hoped would turn into something bigger. I'd hoped, you know, that by now I would have had a promotion, or I'd hoped that I would have had more clients, hoped that the boss would have approved of something or a project. I'd hoped I could have launched something. I hoped that money that I invested maybe would have grown further. I had hoped that, but there's a moment here of losing heart because you're not hearing such great news about that. It's related to money. It's related to a lot of work and a lot of anxiety. You put a lot of work into something to make money, and there's a lot of like, this has to happen, this has to happen. And so I do feel a lot of that pressure. It has to happen. Yeah, this could all come to a head around the time of the full moon on May 7th. I've got to be honest with you, and I've got to be straight with you. I think that you should be doing you shouldn't get so triggered perhaps if things aren't going the way you want them to go. And that's what I was kind of saying to you at the start with that full moon energy. You know, there's a feeling of, you know, this boss better show through with something, or this deal better happen, or this investment better pull through. I've done a lot of work on this. I'm depending. It's like I've got all my eggs in one basket here. If this doesn't work, then I'm screwed kind of, okay? Now, that's a perspective. The truth of it is, I don't actually think you are kind of that screwed at all. But what's the problem seems to be is that you have this very singular focus on one thing that's got to work, that seems to be out of your hands. It's out of your control. And that's where I probably saw all the pressure, where you might call up somebody and say, listen, I've been waiting too long on the answer for this. Listen, come on, talk to me. I need your answer now. I'm going to keep phoning you every 5 minutes until I get an answer from you. And that would be absolutely the wrong way to handle it. So you have to be calm, you have to be grounded, you have to kind of open up your perspective a little bit more here and remove some of the stress from an outcome. It's got to go this way or else. Let that go. Let it go and trust that the universe knows what it's doing. Trust that the universe would never leave you in such a tight position like that without other options. And that's why there's the energy of here, relax. Find some peace here at home. Bring some lightness into it. Bring some humor into it. Get creating in a new and different way, because there's a feeling of like energetically strangling a situation. This better work out. You better work out. And then, you know, ruining the flow of it a little bit, okay? Because we see here now around mid-month, say from May 7th onwards, there's a feeling here of maybe good news, and I hate saying this and I'm sorry, but I'll explain it to you. Maybe some good news isn't necessarily coming your way. And there may be a feeling of, this is so unfair. But the thing here is, there is always balance. What was wrong can be made right. This is a very karmic card sometimes, saying, don't think you're losing. There is always a balance here in the energy. And for me, it's almost like this call to action for you. It's like the call to action to calm down and trust that there are options. Trust that there's more to this. Trust that the universe isn't that unfair, that it's kind of going to make you only have one choice. This is very difficult to explain. Sorry about this, Aquarius. It's like something might happen that you think is unfair, and it turns out that this was exactly the right way for it to go. It may be a moment where you might look at it and say, it's not fair, but then maybe a short while later when you look back, it might be a blessing in disguise. So there's a feeling here of, hold your ground, stay steady, stay strong, because something that might look unfair is actually bringing something back into balance to bring more fairness to you. Okay, bring more fairness to you. And there's a call here to definitely a thing about changing your perspective. You're not one of those people, Aquarius, who is that way, who's like singularly focused. This has to happen. It has to happen this way and no other way. If this doesn't work out for me, then it's like the end. That's not who you are. And that's not the way the energy should be working for you. And it's not how the energy ever works best for you. And with the Justice card there, it's like saying you may need to totally review your perspective on something, just hoping that this one thing is the answer to everything. When, if you dig a little bit deeper and realize how strong you are, change your perspective a little bit and take some of the fear out of it, then you can start manifesting something totally different. You can start manifesting something that you actually want in your life. I get the sense for you here, Aquarius, as we go into the month, that thing that I described, it's like a fear that there's only one outcome and I'm putting all my eggs in that basket. It can only go one way or no way. And this is fear-based. And I think what the universe is coming in, it's saying to you, listen, don't be feeding into that fear. You've never been like this. You've never been a person who's bottlenecked themselves like that. You've always been somebody who embraced the flow and the energy of the universe. You limit yourself when you work from a place of fear, when you focus on a result that has its roots in a place of fear. Because something that has its roots, that's grown from fear, will only produce what? More fear, if it actually grows at all, because it's so toxic. And there's the feeling again here, root that out. Get rid of that fear and hoping that this is the only way that this situation can go and no other way, because that's fear-based. And it's saying, come on, your victory comes when you're a little bit more grounded, when you're using your time at home wisely and setting a course to manifest something that's more your style, with a little bit more flair, a little bit more art, a little bit more intelligence, Aquarius, because that's what you've got in the bucket load. A little bit more of a vision going on here. It's saying, where did you lose your vision? When things started getting scary, worrying, and full of fear. If you really want to manifest the good stuff and have a victory here, then you use the time this month, as I said, to get grounded and get creative. And to get lost in that creativity, it doesn't even necessarily have to be productive creativity. You could say, you know what, I'm not very good at maybe art. I don't know, I'm not very good, but I'll take out piece of paper or a sketchbook, and I'll just draw a few things. You know, it might just be matchstick men and matchstick women, but who cares? There's a feeling of I just want to get lost in doing something creative. I want to go over all my old magazines or all my old books and get inspired to do something. I want to go into my wardrobe and redesign a few things, or start mixing and matching a few different clothes. All stuff you do at home, you know, and getting just lost in it, because there's this feeling of you've got to unhook. Imagine it like lots of little hooks that are trapping you. It's like a fish being hooked. It's like unhook yourself from a singular point of reference, from this must be the outcome, because that's the thing that has you hooked. That's the thing that's not letting you swim freely around the ocean. It's got you hook, line and sinker. So by doing this kind of maybe even unproductive, creative stuff, doing funny stuff with your friends on social media, doing really creative, again, what feels like unproductive stuff is actually the most productive thing you can do this month. And you're saying, that shit's not going to pay the bills. But I tell you what's not going to pay the bills either, being hooked on that one outcome, because you're strangling it, you're squeezing the energy out of it. So the remedy kind of here seems to be to take your energy off it and kind of start building up, building up the dynamo again, building up the energy again, building up your aura again. Because we have Saturn this month going retrograde, of course. We've Venus, Saturn and Jupiter retrograding this month. Saturn going retrograde in Aquarius. It's like, let's get more serious. Let's dig a little bit deeper about me expressing myself in a way that's unique to me. I am not this person who's limited, trapped or confined. And I'm going to dig much, much deeper to rediscover who I am. I have always benefited when I've kind of sat back in some way and trusted. You know, not sitting on your arse, not just sitting on your laurels, but you get what I'm saying. Kind of let it go. I've designed it, I've created it, I've organized it, I've programmed it. Now sit back and let the universe kind of handle it from here. And this, for me, my love, is the perspective shift. This is where we get the page and start leaving the past behind. And this is what it takes. So we can't underestimate sometimes the things that sound very silly or very unproductive, because there's a much bigger cosmic machine going on behind all of us that sometimes needs to be let through to do its work. And we're not going to let it through if we're bottlenecking our energies. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, it might be tough to get rid of some of those fears, because, I mean, they wouldn't be fears, you know, they wouldn't be fears. I mean, if they were easy, if they weren't so fearful, it would be easy to get rid of them. But I think all of us are being asked this month to kind of face some fears and to realize that we're moving forward. It's like we're moving forward. We're going beyond our fears. It's not yesterday. It's like, let's make way for something much bigger. If we're entering into the age of Aquarius, if we are, then come on, let's not just open the door a little bit. Let's kick it open and start trusting this. Let's start trusting the flow of this energy. Me just waiting on one thing. This has got to work. This is just the one thing. This is my last chance saloon. Now, how is that just kicking the door wide open and saying, come on, universe, let's see where this shit can take us, which is where you always win. So it's about it readopting with a great sense of serious intention, but with a great sense of humour, rediscovering who you are and recalling the universe and the potential back into your life. Okay, yeah. And again, we're coming towards the end of the month, and I'm going to say the very same thing here too. Sometimes this card is like getting very, very frustrated over long delays. You know, this would be the kind of quarantine card. Long delays, waiting for something, getting frustrated or worried or nervous or angry about these long delays. I'm tired of waiting for my abundance. Yet at the same time, I feel I can't walk away from this either. So there's something. You're definitely trapped by something, Aquarius, and that's got to change. It's got to change because it's the everything we've explained. It's a perspective shift. It's an energetic shift. It's this feeling of I'm waiting for something to happen, and I'm squeezing it and I'm praying for it and I'm demanding that this one thing has to work. And it's got to work because I'm between a rock and a hard place now. I'm waiting and this isn't working, but yet at the same time, I feel like I can't walk away from it either to do something else. So I'm just stuck here waiting. It's so constricting. It's not you. And all the energy seems to point to the fact that if you keep on with that, then you're not letting the universe come in with the opportunity and the blessing for something new. The last piece of advice the universe is saying, if you want to get through this, bring more passion and expansion to your own creativity, to what you're manifesting in your life. And that begins at home. That begins with the people that you love. If you're living with somebody, that begins with your cat, your dog, your goldfish. That begins with the passions that you have at home for reading certain books, studying certain things, you know, pulling out the guitar and writing songs again, or writing poetry again, or meditating again. There's a feeling here of the last word of the universe is, I'm really doing my best to show you that your path cannot be blessed if you are not escaping the garden here. If you've confined yourself to a small little area without walking through with all your blessings, then you're confining yourself. Step through that little portal. Don't restrict yourself. Open things up. And that's why, for me, really, it's an energetic thing for you this month. Make that energy shift from stranglehold of something that must work to stepping through, taking the coin and stepping through into the next phase and saying, this upside down world is not turning me upside down. I am going to step through and I am going to turn my world the right way around, make that solid and enjoy it and party with it. And this is you at home having a party. And it's a party for one, a party for two, and maybe posting that on the internet, you know, but enjoying yourself at home, celebrating at home. And for me, the cards for you this month, they tell the story of how you can energetically shift everything. Because for me, once you make that energetic shift, all the other stuff works itself out, particularly the stuff around your career. That seems to be handled a whole lot differently when the energy is allowed to just float freely, creatively, and without the fear at the root of it. So, you know, get your little party going on. Get your little something going on and have fun, my love. So I'm going to leave it at that. I do believe that even though this was a kind of very one-sided reading, I do believe that was kind of the most important thing to say to you. But you know, these are just the general energies of the month ahead. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty, you know by now where to come. You come to the deep read on Vimeo. Go down there below. You'll see a link, deep read. Click into it. Come on over. I'll see you over there. And when we're over there, we'll get deeper into the subjects of relationships. What's going on in the relationships? The singles. Is it possible to have a party for one on social media and still attract love? Yes, is the answer. Your career and your money. Things hopefully are going to lighten up a little bit there if we're following the shift of energy and we're allowing those chapters to finally move on. Home, family and friends, we're going to discuss all of those things and everything we didn't talk about here in the deep read on Vimeo. Click the link below, come on over, my love, I'll see you over there. And it is great to see you again, and it's great to be tuning into the energies with you again, even though the energies are still fairly nuts out there. But if, as the energies here for your reading said, if the energies are nuts out there, it's time to get creative and start doing something fun in our own time until that energy starts passing. So, my love, I'm going to leave it at that. See you over at the deep read. But if we are going to leave it for now, my love, I'm going to send you, as always, with all my love and a great, great, great big kiss from me to you. Mwah. Until next month, my beautiful. Bye.